Good evening, excellent college students. Hope you're doing fine, and I hope you had a good day. All right, so please let me know if I am audible enough. Someone to let me know if I am audible enough before we start with this live class. Limpo, how are you doing? Limpo is my former student. She cleared biology this one. Limpo, how are you doing? Let me know if I am audible enough. Okay, excellent, excellent, excellent. So, my students, I was thinking today, you know, when something is not working the way you want it to work, you have to make adjustments. So, I was thinking today, I don't know what you think, what you will think about this, but here's my suggestion. So, early riser, it is a bit hectic on my end because of Zesco. So, usually you find that in the morning at 05:30, my phone is very low because I also have to prepare for classes like offline. Offline, I teach civic, English, and biology. And I also have like one-on-ones. I teach them math. So you find that in the evening or at 01, 02, I'm preparing for classes for the day. And there's no power. So by the time I'm done, my phone is low. And that will now be hard for me to go live in the morning. So my suggestion was I want to make a study timetable for everyone. Like, as long as you're my student, as long as you're a biology student, um, I will create a study timetable that everyone should be following. Okay, this study timetable it will only be for biology. So what I want us to do, like all of you, I want you to be waking up at 4. Now I don't know how many of you can manage to wake up at 4. If you can manage to wake up at 4, just send an emoji of a hand, like raise up your hand. If you can wake up at 04, send an emoji of a hand. How many of you can wake up at 4? Because we have to sacrifice something in the remaining months. We are only remaining with May and June. May is already done. June is our golden month. So how many of us can wake up at 4? Because I've been receiving a number of questions from one of the class reps in the group. And those are good questions, and I would like to go through them. But we have to do it in a systematic way, in a way that won't be confusing. Okay? So I was just thinking about this, and I want to create a study timetable for everyone. All of you will be following the same timetable. Okay? So, okay, most of us can wake up at 4, which is good, which is good. So, if you can do this for me, I am going to appreciate. So what will be happening is this, my students. I want you to listen to me very well. 04, 04, you receive a video, or let me just say a playlist of videos, because my videos are not that long. My videos are not that long. They're not, I cannot say my videos can be an hour. No, no, no. 04, you wake up, that's your time to study. The timetable that I'm going to create, it will have days, right? And on those particular days, there will be subtopics. So when you're supposed to study something, make sure that you study it and you watch the video. So 04, you wake up, you follow the timetable, you study whatever is on the timetable. And then in the evening, I'll be going through past paper questions because I want to be going live like 3 times in a week so we can be going through past papers together. But now the thing is, we cannot go through past papers if some students are behind. That is why the 04 study session is important. You have to wake up at 4, you study, you watch the videos, so that as we are going through past paper questions based on what you were studying at 04, you are not blank. You are together with everyone. you can participate as we are answering practical questions. So I think we can all agree that 04 will be waking up and then I'll be sending videos, right? So 04, I send videos, you use them to study, and as you are studying, you can also refer to the videos. Once you're done, you wait for the live class at 20:30. So the program will still be the same Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So now it will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 20:30 for the live class. And then 04, I'll be sending videos for you to watch. This is only for revision. And then there's a program for the group, or there's the main program. Each month, there are topics that you will be learning. Okay? So there are two programs. There is one program where I'll send videos at 04. You watch them, you study, and then at 20:30 we go through past class together. And then there's another program where in a week we're looking at a particular topic and then you're receiving assignments, night quizzes for that particular topic. Are we together? I hope you're not lost. Same with my one-on-one students. One-on-one students, I haven't been updating class markers, so I have to work on that because I have civic education and English and biology in the offline. So I have to now start balancing up, but at least I've got an assistant. So what will be happening is with my one-on-one students, there's no problem because class marker is there. I just have to update questions on class marker and then you'll be answering from that platform. But for those who are in the group, every week, like for example, this week we're looking at the endocrine system. You've received assignment one. Even my one-on-one students, you've received assignment one. This assignment is based on the endocrine system. That's the topic for the week. But in this live class, we're looking at respiration, which is a different topic. So you get it there. There are two programs. First program, it is linked to the early riser class, where I'll be sending videos in the morning, and then in the evening we'll go through practical questions together. And then the other program, it is linked to the group, where in a particular week we're looking at a specific topic of which you'll be receiving assignments and quizzes for that particular topic. Are we together? Are we together? So meaning you should be expecting videos in the morning at 04 on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then those same days in the evening, 20:30, we'll be having a live class based on what was taught in those videos that were sent in the morning. So this is the program for revision. Let us be consistent with it. Let us follow it. Make sure that you work hard to, because waking up at 04, it can be quite hard. But if you can't, at least make some time for the videos. That's all I'm asking from you. Make time for these videos that I am going to be sending to you. Because if you're not going to be watching these videos, it will be pointless for you to even join the live class where I'm answering practical questions because you'll be confused. You'll be like, "Hanangaweza kuwacha the answer. But you are born to teach and hear answer." So you have to be watching the videos and you have to be studying at 04. So I'll create a study timetable which everyone should be following. And then that timetable I'll be updating it every week so that we can all be at the same page. Okay. All right, wonderful. So in tonight's live class, we're looking at respiration, and these are past paper questions. They're just two past paper questions. So please, I have given each one of you a task to be sending me past paper questions. Okay, and for those who are in the group, you can send the past paper questions to the class rep. She's going to be sending them to me. She has been sending, but they're not based on inspiration. Some are based on the nervous system, some are based on ecology, I think, and some are based on genetics, if I'm not mistaken. So we have to be sending questions that are based on the topic we're revising. Okay, so this is respiration, and yeah, I've got some questions that I want us to answer together. Can I start? I hope today network is proper. I hope no one is having issues with network. On my end, everything is okay. Okay, so I've been told that I can start. So let me do that. So I've got the first question there. I hope it's clear. I hope you can clearly see the question. If you can't clearly see the question, you have to increase the quality of this video. Okay, but I hope we can see the question. This question is based on respiration. So just to give you a background or background information on the topic, respiration is just a process that provides living organisms with energy. So this is an important process that occurs in all living organisms. As long as something is a living organism, it requires energy for it to survive and to carry out different activities. And that energy comes from the process of respiration. So respiration is a process that brings about the production of energy needed by living organisms to survive. That's how I define respiration personally. And then we've got types of respiration. We've got internal respiration as well as external respiration. So let me just briefly pose a question. What is internal respiration? Someone to define internal respiration. What is internal respiration? Someone to define internal respiration. Okay, I've got some answers. What is internal respiration? So we've got an answer from Loveness. Loveness is saying internal respiration is the release of energy inside living cells. Okay. We've got another one from Walia. Process by which cells generate. Okay. Good try. Internal respiration is the type of respiration which occurs in living cells. Excellent. But another one, the energy that is generated within a cell, within the cells. Okay. With another one, release of energy from food substances. Good try. With another one there, this is the release of energy inside living organisms. Okay. With another one from Mr. Innocent, this is the type of respiration that occurs inside living cells in organelles called are the mitochondria. Excellent, excellent. With another one from Eunice. Internal respiration is the process that makes energy available inside living organisms, particularly in the mitochondria. Excellent. I like this answer. Okay. With another one, it is the release of energy from food substances inside living cells. I also like this one. Okay. With another one, this is the type of respiration which occurs inside living cells. So basically, all of you who are defining internal respiration, you are including the aspect of it happening inside living cells, of which that is true. Internal respiration occurs inside living cells. So if you look at the structure of a living cell, you're going to find an organelle known as the mitochondria or mitochondrion for singular. It is this structure where respiration occurs. It is also known as the powerhouse, the mitochondrion. Okay, also known as the powerhouse. So it is in this structure where respiration occurs. And once respiration occurs inside these living cells, energy is going to be produced. Not only energy, but carbon dioxide as well. So follow me. When it comes to internal respiration, it occurs in living cells. Let me say that again. When it comes to internal respiration, it occurs in living cells. But for respiration to happen, there are requirements. There is something that is needed for respiration to happen, of which, if it is not there, internal respiration cannot occur. We've all agreed that internal respiration, it is the release of energy from food substances inside living cells. So meaning it occurs in living cells. But there's also something that is needed for internal respiration to occur. And that thing is known as glucose. Glucose is a carbohydrate, and glucose is the main substrate of this process known as respiration. Meaning, without glucose, respiration cannot occur. Glucose is very important in this process of respiration, which is internal respiration. Glucose is vital. It has to be there for internal respiration to take place. So, when it comes to internal respiration, there are types of internal respiration. We've got what we call, let me even pause. What are the types of internal respiration? Quickly, quickly. What are the types of internal respiration? What are the types of internal respiration? Okay, we've got memory, aerobic, and anaerobic respiration. Excellent. So there's aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Both are the types of internal respiration. Both they occur inside living cells. Okay. Now, when it comes to aerobic respiration, oxygen is present. But when it comes to anaerobic respiration, oxygen is absent. So aerobic respiration, it is a type of internal respiration which occurs in the presence of oxygen. So for this process of respiration to occur known as aerobic respiration, oxygen has to be there. Okay, oxygen has to be there. And then for anaerobic respiration, it occurs in the absence of oxygen. So that's the difference. Aerobic oxygen is present. Anaerobic oxygen is absent. But in both aerobic and anaerobic, glucose is present. That is why we're saying that glucose is the main substrate of respiration. So, yeah, internal respiration, I've explained that's what it is. It's a type of respiration which occurs inside living cells. Now, let's look at external respiration. What is external respiration? Anyone to help us with the definition of external respiration? What is external respiration? Excellent, excellent. I like this answer. So external respiration, Loveness is saying the process that makes oxygen available to living cells. Wonderful. That's basically external respiration. This is the I think this is the best answer I can receive. Let me wait for other answers. Let me wait for other answers. Yeah, even Sylvia is saying the same thing. External respiration, it's the process that makes oxygen in living cells. It makes oxygen available in living cells of an organism. So when we're talking about processes that are going to make oxygen available to living cells, these processes are like breathing. It is because of breathing which makes it possible for your cells inside your body to receive oxygen. So external respiration, these are processes that will make oxygen available to living cells, like breathing. Another one is gaseous exchange. These are the two types of external respiration because these two types of respiration, they make oxygen available to living cells. Okay? When you're breathing in oxygen. And that oxygen, it is going to be transported by blood, taken to the tissue cells, to the living cells. So it's because of breathing that oxygen is made available to the cells. And again, it's because of gaseous exchange which makes it possible for oxygen to be available to the living cells. Now, when we're talking about breathing, there are two stages of breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in is also known as inhalation, breathing out, exhalation. Okay, so when you inhale, that is you breathing in. When you exhale, that is you breathing out. Another term for breathing in is inspiration. Okay, inspiration. That's another term for breathing in. And then breathing out, expiration. Okay, so breathing involves two stages: breathing in, which is known as inhalation or inspiration, as well as breathing out, which is also known as exhalation and expiration. And then gaseous exchange, it occurs in the lungs. Now, in the lungs, we've got a structure or small structures known as air sacs or alveoli. That is where gaseous exchange occurs. And the definition of gaseous exchange, it's easy. It's just an exchange of gases between two mediums. That's what gaseous exchange is. The exchange of gases between two mediums, of which this process of gaseous exchange, it is done by the process known as diffusion. The process of gaseous exchange, it is done by the process known as diffusion. Quickly, someone to define what is diffusion. What is diffusion? What is diffusion?
Okay, I'm receiving answers. So Atres Mapalo, Atres is saying that diffusion is the movement of particles from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower. Okay, got another answer from Mumba. Mumba is saying the movement of particles from the region of higher concentration to the to region of lower concentration through gradient. Okay, not really, not through gradient, through a membrane. Yeah, that can be accepted through a membrane. Stella saying diffusion is the movement of particles from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. Okay, that's okay. Sylvia, diffusion is the movement of particles from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Excellent. That is wonderful. Just take it back to the previous slide. Okay. And then unity. Unity Skagwenu. Skagwenu. It is the movement of particles from a higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Okay. And then Roida Zulu. This is the movement of particles from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. So your definitions are correct. That is diffusion. Let me highlight the last one from Innocent. This is the movement of particles from a region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration through a concentration gradient. Okay. So concentration gradient, no, but membrane. So basically, that's what diffusion is. It is just it's a process by which particles will move from where they are highly concentrated to where they are less concentrated. So this is what gaseous exchange occurs by this process known as diffusion. So the gases that are going to be exchanged, they'll be moving by the process known as diffusion. So, like I said, gaseous exchange is a type of external respiration because without gaseous exchange, living cells won't have oxygen available to them. So, because gaseous exchange occurs, the living cells are going to have access to oxygen. And in human beings like you and I, gaseous exchange occurs in the lungs, to be specific, in the alveoli. So, yeah, that's the diagram that we have, which is our figure. So, figure 2.1 shows the structure involved in oxygen uptake in the lungs. So we can see that there's air movement there, and then we've got parts that have been labeled A, B, C, and D. Okay. So question A reads, identify structures A, B, and C in figure 2.1. 3 marks. So yeah, let's identify what is A, what is B, and what is C. I'm checking your comments. Sir, kindly increase the volume. It's a bit low. Let me try to put the mic. I don't know if I'll be clear, but let me try. If I've got a mic. Okay, so I've connected my phone to the mic. I don't know if I'm clear. I want to let me know if I'm audible. Am I audible enough? Oliver, can you now hear me clearly? Is this clear enough? Someone to confirm if I'm audible. Okay, okay. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so yeah, the first question: identify structures A, B, and C in Figure 2.1. Let's identify the structures. Okay, I'm clear now. Okay, wonderful. What are the structures labeled A, B, and C? What is A? What is B? And what is C? Okay, Loveness is saying that A, wall of alveolus, B, blood of capillary. Okay, others, so it's actually not blood of capillary, but it's just, you can just say capillary. Okay, then A, you can just say alveolus or alveoli. But in this case, since it's singular, alveolus is okay. But yeah, I think there is just the way you've put the answers, but they are correct. They are correct. So yeah. Others, what do you think? What is A? What is B? And what is C? Okay, seems like we don't know. Let me give you the answers then. So A, like Loveness has said, A is simply the alveolus. Okay, A is the alveolus. B, that's the capillary, and then C, as those are red blood cells. Okay, so C, red blood cell. So A, alveolus. If you're writing A, it's the alveolus. B, that's the capillary, and then C, red blood cell. Then question B, by what process does oxygen move from D to E? By what process does oxygen move from D to E? By what process does oxygen move from D to E? Come on, I even mentioned it earlier, even defined it. By what process does oxygen move from D to E? Excellent. So Atres, diffusion, Chitalu, diffusion, Roida, diffusion, Sylvia, diffusion, Kavunda, diffusion, Unity, diffusion. Excellent, excellent. So yeah, oxygen moves from D to E by the process known as diffusion. Then question C, state three adaptations of the structure in figure 2.1. So this structure, which is known as the alveolus, what are the adaptations? So when we're talking about adaptations, my students, adaptations are simply features or characteristics that something has which enables it to perform its function. So, in other words, what are the features that this structure has which enables it to carry out the process of gaseous exchange? Because earlier I said that gaseous exchange occurs in the lungs, to be specific, in the alveolus or in the air sacs. Now, what are the features that this structure has which makes it possible for it to perform that function of gaseous exchange. That's what the question is asking us. So we're supposed to state three adaptations. So adaptations are simply features. Okay. So what are the adaptations or features? Okay, that this structure has, which enables it to perform its function. We have to state three. We have to state three. Let me just go back. Yeah. So Atrace has given us one, large surface area and thick walls. So on thick walls, that is not true. Actually, the alveolus, they are thin. Their walls are thin. They are actually one cell thin. And that is so to simply increase the process of diffusion, so that diffusion can be occurring at a faster rate. So the walls of the alveolus are not thick, but they are thin. Okay, they are thin. But the first one, which is large surface area, that is correct. They've got large surface area because why? They are numerous. The air sacs or the alveolus or alveoli for plural, they are numerous, meaning they are a lot to simply increase the surface area. Okay, so yeah, that can be the first characteristic. They've got large surface area because they're numerous. What can be the other one? Okay, Mr. Innocent is saying the same thing. I think he meant to say large surface area to maximize the exchange of gases. That is true. Alveolus are numerous. Okay, there are a lot to simply maximize the surface area for the exchange of these gases. So Loveness is saying, I'm behind in hearing you because I'm seeing the answers before you ask. So what you can do is just tap on the screen. Let me take it back. When you tap on the screen, Loveness, you will see a uh, red circle. Just drag it up to the end. You'll be updated with a live class. So when you just tap on your screen, you're going to see a red circle and a red line. Grab that red circle, just grab it up to the end on your right side. Then you'll be updated with the class. Okay. Okay. So thin walls, that's a characteristic. Thin walls, good blood supply and large surface area. Okay. So we can also say that the alveolus, yes, they've got thin walls, they're numerous to increase the large surface area, and then they are closely associated to a transport system. So there's a close association with the transport system because it is in this system where blood is flowing for exchange of gases to be possible. So one adaptation is that they've got large surface area. Another one, they are numerous to increase. No, sorry. Let me say that again. One adaptation is that they've got a large surface area because they're numerous. Two, they've got thin walls. Three, they've got close association with the transport system, which is the capillary that we identified in the first question. Okay. So Loveness, you're correct. So those are the three adaptations. Thin walls, close association with the transport system, and large surface area. Let me see other answers. Innocent is saying large surface area to maximize exchange of gases. Moist surface, that's another feature. Moist surface. Okay, that's very true. And then even Actress has said the same thing. Moist surface. Okay. Okay. Another one which Innocent has said close association with the transport system and well ventilated to maintain a constant gradient. That is very true as well. So when you look at the air sac, they are closely associated with a transport system like capillary, which we've identified as B. So this transport system is needed because the oxygen is going to diffuse from the air sac going into the blood, going into this transport system. So there's an importance of that transport system. And there's a close association with the transport system with this air sac. or alveoli or alveolus. Okay. Now, question D, state the function of the structure C in figure 2. State the function of the structure C in figure 2.1. So we identified structure C to be the red blood cells. Now, what's the function of the red blood cells? What's the function of the red blood cells? Okay, we've got an answer from Atres. To transport oxygen. Simple, simple. Red blood cells simply transport oxygen. That's very true. Red blood cells, they transport oxygen. Okay. And how is that possible? Because red blood cells, they contain hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein, and this hemoglobin, it attracts oxygen. Okay, so that's what makes it possible for red blood cells to transport oxygen, because they contain hemoglobin which attract oxygen. Let's look at question 2 for the day. Figure 3.1 shows a student involved in an experiment on breathing. So that's a student there. We've got a jar, then we've got air, then we've got water, then we've got support for jar. That is our figure 3.1. Question A, state 2 ways in which the air in the jar would differ from the atmospheric air. State 2 ways. Just a minute. State 2 ways in which the air in the jar would differ from the atmospheric air. Anyone to try? Mm-hmm. So yeah, lower oxygen concentration. Okay. What else? The air in the jar will have higher concentration of carbon dioxide. Okay. So as you are stating the differences, um, okay, so in this case, they said state two ways in which the air in the jar would differ from the atmospheric air. So when you look at atmospheric air, it contains different gases. So atmospheric air will have gases like nitrogen. It will have so nitrogen will be present in atmospheric air, but this air which is in this jar, most likely it won't have nitrogen.
And then, like what Loveness has said, or is it Atrace? Let me just check. What Atrace has said, okay? Uh, the air, let me just highlight her answer. Just a minute. Okay. The air in the jar will have higher concentration of carbon dioxide. Why is this so? Because this student is actually blowing. Okay. This student is blowing in that tube. And because this student is blowing, they are blowing out what? Carbon dioxide. The air that you breathe out is carbon dioxide. So this student, as he is breathing out, blowing through that tube, he is breathing out carbon dioxide, which is going to fill that space. Okay. So there will be higher concentration of carbon dioxide in that space compared to the atmospheric air. And then you can also notice that there'll be lower concentration of what? Oxygen, because in the atmospheric air, there is high concentration of oxygen. I mean, that's where we are getting it from, because plants are producing oxygen from the process of photosynthesis. So in the atmospheric air, we're going to find higher concentration of oxygen. But in the air in this jar, there is low concentration of what? Oxygen, because this space which has got air in this jar, it contains high concentration of what? Carbon dioxide, because that's what the student is breathing out through that tube. Are we clear? Are we clear? Can I move on to the next question? Okay. Question B. Describe what occurs in the student's thorax to cause air to be breathed out into the jar. In other words, what happens when a person is breathing out? What happens to their thorax when a person is breathing out? When a person is breathing out, what happens to the thorax? That's what the question is asking. Describe what occurs in the student's thorax to cause air to be breathed out into the jar. Address is active, very active. So thorax decreases in volume. That is very true. When a student is breathing out, the thorax decreases in volume. Okay. What else? Address. She deserves an award. Uyafunika award too. What else? When this student is breathing out, what happens? Address and loudness, they are actively participating. So the diaphragm relaxes and moves upwards, and the rib cage moves downwards and inwards. That is very true. That is very true. So Atres said that the volume in the thorax does what? It will decrease. Then Leibniz has said the diaphragm relaxes and moves upwards. Then the rib cage moves downwards and inwards. That is very true. That is very true, and it's correct. Okay, Killian, it relaxes. What relaxes? You have to be specific. Okay. Otherwise, I'm happy with the answers that I've received. When this student is breathing out, the volume will decrease in the thorax. The rib cage will move inwards. Okay, the rib cage is going to move inwards. And we can also say that the pressure
in the thorax increases because it is that pressure that is now pushing the air out. So the pressure in the thorax is going to increase, pushing the air out as this person is breathing out. So there'll be pressure from the inside, okay, from the thorax, which is going to push the air out. Okay. Let's look at question C. Describe what would happen in the student's thorax to cause air to be inhaled. Now the opposite. In this case, a student is inhaling. So what would happen in the student's thorax to cause air to be inhaled? Yes? Mm-hmm. I'm waiting on you, actress and loveness, innocent. Describe what would happen in the student's thorax to cause air to be inhaled. Okay, actress has surely delivered. Volume increases, then pressure decreases. So the pressure decreases because now there's atmospheric pressure. So atmospheric pressure, that simply means there's pressure from the outside, from the atmosphere, which is causing air to be pushed inside as this student is breathing in. So what makes it possible for air to move in as this student is breathing in during inhalation? It is because of the atmospheric pressure. So the atmospheric pressure now becomes more than the pressure from the inside. That causes air now to move inward. And there's an increase in terms of volume of air in the thorax. So volume increases, then the pressure inside decreases while the atmospheric pressure actually increases. So, sir, is this a topic on its own in lost? So this is the point. This is what I meant. Because I know there are some students who have never done this topic. That is why the 04 class is very important. So I was sending videos on respiration on Monday. I sent lesson 1. Tuesday, I sent lesson 2 on respiration. And then today, Wednesday, we're going through past paper questions. So the program has now changed. How it will be is, so next week, Monday, 04, I'll send videos and you should study around that time. And then at 20:30, I'll be going live to answer questions based on the topic that was taught in the videos. Tuesday, the same thing. Wednesday, the same thing. Because what I'm trying to avoid is students being blank when they join the live class. So you have to make sure that you watch the videos that we present at 04 as well as study. So that period 04 to 06, that period, it's for you to study according to the timetable that I'm going to formulate. You study around that time, 2030, we go through past paper questions together. Yeah. Okay. And then yeah, let's look at so describe what would happen in the student's thorax to cause air to be inhaled. Loveness Loveness is saying the volume increases, causing the air pressure to decrease. That is true. And in this case, the rib cage does not move inwards, it moves outwards. Okay, the rib cage moves outwards. Yeah. So those are the things that are going to happen. Those are the things that are going to happen to cause the student to, you know, what's this? Breathe out. Or breathe in, I mean. Any questions, my student, before we call it a night? Today has been a day for me. I'm exhausted right now. Any questions? Are we clear? All right. Okay. So we can end here, my excellent students. We can end here. Thank you very much for joining me in tonight's live class. So yeah, the link will still be there. If you joined late, you can still watch from the beginning. So you have to make sure that you watch from the beginning, and yeah, just ensure that you watch. Otherwise, thank you very much for joining. Have a blessed night. Have a good night.